everybody gets drunk and crazy, and then they find out that the cure is water. So they basically hydrate. Captain's Pod, Stardate 82, 84, 23.1. Welcome aboard the Starship's Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief short leap from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always, rumour has it, she is the woman from Venus. It's Ambassador Deneé.
Wasn't that a book?
Was it?
Girls are from Venus, boys are from Mars or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Women are from Venus, men are from Mars. It was very controversial.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not referencing that book. I'm referencing data.
Oh. Well, I like that better. And also that makes more sense because this is a Star Trek podcast.
That makes way more sense. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
Amazing. I'm really excited. I kind of woke up this morning knowing what episode we're going to be doing today and felt like a kind of a wash of relief because we're going to be doing a few more TNG episodes and it's a bit more lighthearted. Picard was amazing, but it was very heavy and very end of the universe, and we were all kind of worried-ish, is everyone going to make it, and what's happening here, and is this going to be enjoyable or not? And I love that we're just going to watch a bottle episode of TNG that is a bit quirky and why we love TNG. So how do you feel about moving from Picard back into some TNG?
I'm nervous about it because I hate TNG so much, you know.
I don't believe that. I think you should do a different show.
I'm excited. I am a little bit I don't know the plan entirely, which I don't have to. So last time we dipped into TNG, it was because we were doing almost like a character study on Data headed into the next season of Picard specifically. Knowing that Picard is done, and if we're dipping back into TNG, I don't know. Are we doing random ones? What's the inspiration for the one that you picked, I guess is my question.
So the inspiration was, this is one we've talked about a few times. So the episode we're doing today is The Naked Now. And we've mentioned this a couple of times in passing. There's a couple of reasons that will become apparent that I don't want to give away for why I've picked this episode. But part of it was a big shift this week. So this is one of the more whimsical episodes, and it's a little bit goofy and it's a bit fun, and I just thought it's a nice contrast from the heaviness of Picard. But the goal going forward is to basically do some fan suggestions, and then the big tentpole episodes. I want to show you some, as we've done this for the last 18 months now, I'm getting a feel for what aspects of TNG you're remembering that you really liked, and a lot of it is Data, a lot of it is Picard, a lot of it is Worf, a lot of it is Beverly being in command and strong female figures. So I'm zeroing in on the stuff that you really like about TNG, and then I want to pull out those episodes and then show them to you again and get you to revisit them because I'm pretty confident you're going to love them. So I just have a better barometer about what it is you love about TNG, and you must love it exactly the same. But yeah, a mix of that with fan episodes, fan suggested episodes that you can send to us on Twitter, email captainspod@cinemasins.com or on our lovely Sinclub Discord. And that'll keep us going until Strange New Worlds on June 16th. So yeah, we've got 6 weeks of TNG and then we'll get into Strange New World.
So today's episode you're expecting me to like because it's something that I've liked before?
No, this one I have no idea if you're going to like it. I picked this specifically because it's so wacky. And there is one element in it that will be inspiring to you and it will make you go, oh, that's where that comes from.
Oh,
but
okay.
Overall, the episode is just a wacky one that I can't wait for you to get a reaction on. So the title is The Naked Now. Let's have one big prediction for what happens. What do you think the overall episode is going to be? And then one oddly specific prediction.
Okay. My broad prediction is this episode will be about nakedness somehow.
Making a note of that. I actually am going to make a note of this because we always forget to do that.
And my specificness about it involving nakedness is that it's fruit-based. You know how sometimes you have naked fruit where it's just the de-rinded fruit. So this is going to be something where, maybe there's a fruit that causes problems because it's not because it's rinded. It's a rind fruit, and then when you remove the rind, the problem solves itself somehow. So we're
There's a metaphor in there somewhere.
We're nakeding the fruit.
It is impressive how big the swing from accurate to inaccurate that was in the space of a couple of sentences. That was amazing.
Glad to help. Thanks for glad to help. Yeah.
Well, with that, let's head to the holodeck to get naked, and we'll see you in 10 forward. Two to be out. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink or something from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched together. Most important question first, what would you like from the replicator and why is it data?
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I think it's just alcohol. I'm just going to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
This episode, it doesn't matter what.
Just get drunk. Yeah, this is an episode where we should imbibe some things. I want to get some edibles from the replicator, which you shouldn't mix with. You shouldn't mix with alcohol
it's a terrible
at all.
idea.
So you do the alcohol, I'll do the edibles.
So I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions, but I want the alcohol that specifically makes me very, very temperature hot and then also horny hot. So is that like a specific brand of alcohol? Tequila. Okay. Yep. I'd like tequila.
Yep. I think that's most. I think beer won't do that. I think spirits and wine will. But yeah, I would guess like a Red Bull and vodka would probably do both of those things. But yeah, tequila would be great. Right. Give us a synopsis, Ambassador.
Am I really continuing to do synopsis for this stuff?
Yes. It's way more fun than me doing it.
Why?
Way more fun. Synopsisize us.
Okay, in this episode, Data and Tasha Yar fuck.
No, they don't.
What? What did you watch?
We don't know. We didn't see it. We didn't see any entry of data ports.
Oh, and in this episode, we learn why people don't like Wesley.
Yes, we do. That kind of sums it up.
Turns out it happens real early in the series.
Super early. And it is repeated episode after episode after episode. Wesley gets the ship out of trouble and shouldn't have done. It's basically the summary. Right. Yeah. I mean, the whole ship gets drunk. So you have questions. You have thoughts.
This is not drunk. This is not drunk. This is drugged, right? Like,
yeah.
Is this the 80s version of what drunkenness is? Because
this is the 80s TV version. Yeah.
Nobody was drunk in this episode.
No.
Okay.
They were just happy. Everyone was very giddy and happy and acting like a 4-year-old. No, they weren't. They were acting like teenagers, I guess.
Yeah. This was more like a rebellious teenage angst. I don't even know what. It definitely wasn't drunk, though. Unless my personal experience with getting drunk and going places where others are drunk is really just
I don't know
different.
Yeah, tipsy might be a better word for it, like that if you could stay in that in-between phase of being like liberated but not completely broken. I think people skip to broken a lot quicker. Everyone on the Enterprise was kind of stuck in the kind of goofy phase.
Yeah, it was I feel like so some people got really warm but like got sad. Like Geordi in this episode gets sad. Okay, first of all, the synopsis, the actual synopsis of this episode, is that they wanted to redo something very similar to something that happened on the Enterprise, the original series, right? Yeah. And so this was kind of like their reinvented version of that episode. Was that actually an episode that you saw?
Yeah. So it's called The Naked Time. And exactly the same thing happens. They bump into, I think it's actually a not a starbase, but it's like a research station or something that's on a planet. They all get infected. Sulu gets topless and runs around with a sword.
That sounds more like drunkenness, honestly.
That happens. Everybody gets drunk and crazy, and then they find out that the cure is water. So they basically hydrate.
Oh my God, that's fucking funny.
Yeah. Drink water, you dehydrated bitch. Yeah. So and then they decide it was. What was interesting is that Gene Roddenberry went into this saying, like, we're not going to have cameos, we're not going to have callbacks. Episode 2 is an immediate remake of an OG series episode. So yeah, it's an odd choice, and it does get criticized for that.
So the idea is that there's something in the atmosphere that through water can impact biological creatures of some kind.
It gets transmitted via sweat. So it's this complex water molecule that makes you feel drunk.
And it infects by touch. So as everyone's touching each other, they are passing along this virus or whatever that takes away their common thinking, I suppose. And then they just get more and more and more into this drunken party vibe, which on the ship that they're going to go investigate has turned into them doing stupid shit like fucking with the temperature controls and freezing themselves, launching themselves into space, being blown into space, but
Not
also
sucked.
just being blown sexually as well, which is, it's just, there's so
Big old
much.
orgy. Big old ice orgy.
Yeah, there's literally underwear draped on things in this episode to indicate, and fruit, by the way. So I was right about my prediction.
Wait, was there fruit?
Thank you.
Where was the fruit? So the ambassador made a prediction that there would be nakedness in this episode. We'll give her that. And that it would be fruit-based nakedness and that fruit would be peeled.
I'm calling it on the ground in the corridor of the ship that they go on. There is a very spiky looking fruit. And I feel like I feel like my prediction came true.
You win the predictions. Nicely done.
So through transference, Geordi touches a frozen person, brings it onto the Enterprise, where it begins to wreak havoc. And this is where things get confusing for me because I feel like it's like a mystery episode, like what's going on and how are we going to solve it, which is great. Don't mind that. But it impacted everybody in very different ways.
Yes.
So back to my point, Geordi turns into a sad Geordi, where he's just very warm and very sad about his eyes. Wesley just turns into more of his annoying child self.
Yeah.
Another engineer turns into a child and plays with chips on the floor.
Jim.
Some of them just immediately get horny. And there really doesn't seem to be... Oh, and then there's Riker, who picks up Deanna, who wants to do like mind meld sex stuff with Riker. And then he gets infected and he gives it to Beverly. And before Beverly even begins to so Beverly feels her, like she gets impacted by it. But Riker, he doesn't seem to be bothered by it at all. And I would assume incorrectly that if they were going to sexify somebody, it would be hot Riker turning into like sexy man and having a big orgy in his room. But that didn't happen because they gave that role to Tasha and Data, who does the spank bank boop dabbit, and then when they're done, he is now infected because he has pores too. Okay, all right, he's a guy too, and then but they're all still functioning. They're all still able to like the doctor's still able to doctor, and they're all, but there's a little bit less cognitive. But the virus doesn't do the same thing to everybody.
Nope.
So I just can't believe it's like drunkenness.
So you've described, and maybe I've just been around more drunk people being English. You've just described all of the different types of drunk people, and I'm not even being funny or exaggerating. There is the depressing drunk who has like a glass of wine and is like hates the world, everything is horrible, I hate it, let's go home. The really like uninhibited drunk that's like, I can do anything, I'm gonna get a doctorate, and then you have like
become captain of the starship.
Right? You've got the one that has the super high tolerance to alcohol and kind of keeps the crew together and gets them back home. That's Riker. He's not the designated driver. He's the designated taxi caller. So he'll get everybody from club to club and then keep the flock together and get them home. There's always the two people that are like, you know what? You guys only ever hook up when you're drunk. You hate each other when you're sober. You hook up when you're drunk. That's Beverly and Picard. And
then you have the regret fuck when Tasha turns and completely rejects Data.
The pair that you're like, that's a weird match, but I guess it's the office party, so that happens. Genuinely, this makes total sense to me. This is exactly how the drunk people in my life acted. Okay.
So it's just different types of alcohol.
Different metabolism. People metabolize things differently. And so, but to bring it back to like what the episode was about, the idea was this is supposed to be a way to show us the motivations, the desires of this new set of characters. So Geordi is driven by his eyesight. Tasha is driven by a traumatic upbringing where now she just wants a new family. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No. You know what? Continue. I'm
Yeah,
going to try to hold that thought. I'm going to try to hold that thought.
I'm with you.
Fuck trauma.
Yeah,
like
the fuck
trauma fucking.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It happens.
People interact with it however they want to interact. Sometimes that's the answer. And yeah, it's
very kinky. So I'm just telling you.
It's a little bit.
But it was gentle because she. Anyway, sorry. I wasn't talking about it.
Yeah. Yes. Deanna's desires, Riker's desires, Wesley, this is what he wants to do, this is what's driving him. So the only person we don't get a motivation from is Worf, because Klingons drink so much that they don't get infected. Yeah, it doesn't affect them.
No one touched him.
I guess no one touched him, yeah, and that's a good point.
Nope. And no one touched the chief engineer either.
No, very true. Yeah, no one touched her. Chief engineer for one episode, by the way.
She was great.
Bye.
Loved her.
Hope you didn't. Never see her again. So yeah, that was the idea behind the episode, and then just do like a little callback to TOS.
This episode is really just introducing, this episode is the perfect thing to show people who are brand new, like a brand new business adventure, right? Like a brand new. So you go and you launch a business and you hire people, you bring them into the conference room and you have them watch this episode. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
The idea being that this is the best/worst, not sure which way, to unify your crew. This is why we don't do company parties.
Yes.
Would be the title.
This episode is why.
Of this meeting that we're
Christmas
having.
Parties.
Yeah. This is why we're as a brand new company, our policy is there will be no company parties, because we don't need to know each other like this, because this is what happens. This is the TNG Christmas party episode.
It really is. This is the TNG Christmas party episode. And it's bold to make it, because obviously Encounter at Farpoint was one episode. It's pretty bold to make it the second episode ever. Like, here's your crew. They fuck.
It was really interesting. I had to remind myself pretty early on that this is essentially the second episode.
Yeah.
Or the third, because the Encounter at Farpoint was a two-parter.
The weirdness. Yeah.
And I was remembering back that we didn't really learn/meet Geordi too much in that first kind of couple of episodes. He was
too busy with Q, weren't we?
Yeah. So for them to sort of focus on going into these character traits of the crew is really clever, especially for someone like Geordi.
Yeah.
Where you're like curious, like what's going on with his eyes? Why is the visor?
And to get that sincerity from him as well, of I just want to see, like, I see better, but I want to see normal. I want to see things.
This really is a great episode.
Wait, so this was my next question. Do you like it? Did you like the episode?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, the more I think about it too, because I think it's super clever to make an awkward memory for the entire crew right at the beginning.
Right? Isn't it? Like, that's a great bonding experience. It's like, it happened. It's not our fault. Kind of
We're
the best
just going
way
to
this
pretend this didn't happen.
Yeah.
But we now know very intimate things about every character. And I didn't know what I was in for when I started watching this. I had no idea.
We went in with no context. I gave you no brief. I gave you nothing other than the episode title, deliberately. And that's why I didn't want to give too much away about why I picked this episode, because it is deliberately an introduction to the main crew cast members with their barriers down, with their shields off, and here's what's driving them. We set up the Beverly and Picard romance. We set up the Tasha and Data backstory that Data refers back to multiple times. So yeah, a lot of interesting setup in this episode, and of course, the woman from Venus. Captain Picard, security!
Oh,
Where
yes.
Data's
I was like, what? Yes, because she was shaped like a penis.
Security!
But the captain cuts her off. Yes, this had so many fun little beats in it. Once it got going, I was very distracted. Like, I was distracted by the performances a little bit, because I'm like, what was the instruction? Was the instruction so clever? Like, hey, you're the sad drunk. And you're the child drunk. It has to have been,
I
right?
hope so. It's how I would have directed it, because it is, like I've said, all of the people that you find in a group of friends on a night out. It's so perfect.
I really did. There was a lot of memes that I saw in this that I recognized. That Data, whenever he goes to lean over and falls over, when he shows up back on the bridge and he's kind of swaggering, and
the way Brent Spiner holds that lean. and just hits the deck. I die. Growing up, I died. Well, I watched this episode way too young, but it would be for that moment. I didn't care about anything else. I was like, rewind the bit where Data falls down. So good.
There were so many awkward things, confusing things, but I think that it did what it wanted to do. As an episode from a writer's perspective and from a content and universe, world building, crew establishing vibe, I think that I would maybe watch this going, well, that was unexpected. And then you need to tune in the next week to figure out how are they going to recover from this. But it's more episodic than it is
we forget about all. I'm amazed that Data even mentions that him and Tasha did a thing. Like that, and Data and Picard and Beverly having an on and off thing is about as much as you're going to get out of TNG for sure.
I was so distracted by it, but I think I would go back in to kind of learn, okay, so we've seen them all come together in episode 1 and 2. Now I'm watching episode 3 and I'm just curious, who are they really? Because this isn't them really. This is now them humanized, or not even humanized. An episode like this tears away your intellect, your strength, your whatever archetypal characteristics that you're giving into your individual characters. It strips that away and it flips it around. But to do it so early, we still have no context except for the first 2 episodes as to what would be normal. So having seen Picard so rigid in episode 1 and 2, and then seeing him really rigid in this one, losing control of his ship and then giving into the quirk in the way that he does, I imagine he would play that so differently, given like season 2, season 3 or whatever. But we're so early in his character that I was so like, who is this Picard again? Oh, this is Picard.
So this, when people say Picard, as in like this Stardust City rag, when he's dressed as the Frenchman and he does the crazy thing, when they're like, that's not how Patrick Stewart acts, that's not what Picard does, I refer you back to episode 3 ever, my friends. Patrick Stewart does this shit. Picard does this shit. It's just like, I don't know what the complaint is. Yes, it's not the stuff that we see every single episode, but he can be goofy. He can do it. Like the scene between him and Beverly, whereas like I came in here and I called you Beverly, so of course, naturally, you responded by calling me. What am I doing here?
And she's like, I've got this thing in my hand. Yeah,
the little hop that he does as he goes into sick fake kills. He's like, gonna get fucked.
Yeah,
gonna get some crusher.
As he let loose after that initial moment, scene to scene to scene, and he kind of like got even a little bit let go more and more and more. I really was enjoying his performance, and it really cracked me up. Like,
not now, Doctor.
Now that one was like, oh my god, that was intense. But I kind of loved it.
She's like unzipping her uniform, like, yeah, go Bev.
My favorite Beverly Picard interaction was after Beverly has realized she created the cure, and so she says, here, take this to the others, and he goes, okay, Bev. And she goes, and she just this like little awkward salute thing. And I'm like, that was fun. This is them.
And he spins on his heel and it's just like, is it an eye roll thing? Oh, it's so great.
Yeah, he was having a fun time. That was delightful. And I really enjoyed that. But again, I think I just haven't been around enough drunk people to have fully been like, what is happening? What is happening?
And I think fans get stuck on, especially at the time, got so stuck on, we're just doing a callback to TOS. Even in the 80s, there were nostalgia phobes. They forget what the episode itself was trying to do. And maybe the writer should have been aware of that and found another way to do it. But this makes so much sense. It even sets up Wesley for the rest of the season, genuinely, as a boy genius that is so in touch with technology, a little bit obnoxious, but kind of comes through and saves the day.
I do have a question about Wesley. He had a line that I was confused by, and I wanted to get your opinion on it, because he says it pretty early on, and I wrote it down, so hold on while I find it.
Hold on 1 minute, please hold.
Wesley says he's talking to Geordi after Geordi originally disappears, and then he appears with Wesley, and Wesley's messing around with his tractor beam machine thing. And he's expressing his frustration with not being able to go to the bridge. and he says, quote, "There's nothing there I don't understand." The way that he delivers it was, "There's nothing there I don't understand." Just like that.
Oh.
And I don't know if he's meaning there's nothing there I don't understand because he's a genius, or there's nothing there of interest. I don't understand why I can't go onto the bridge.
So the difference is there's nothing there I don't understand, or there's nothing there, comma, I don't understand.
Correct. And based on his performance, I couldn't tell if he's like bored with it because like I don't know why I can't go on the bridge. It's not like there's anything interesting there.
I never thought of it that way.
Him, I think the show is saying he's so much of a genius that it's not like going on the bridge would confuse him. And by the end of this episode, that is again more strongly which way I lean, because he has this really genius moment, the drunk genius, apparently. Which, by the way, if he doesn't become an alcoholic because it just enhances his genius,
I'm super smart when I'm drunk.
So he said, but when he's in engineering and he's commandeered the ship, and now he is trying to take his tractor beam and turn it into a repeller and use that to buy them a minute of time. The engineer says, "I'd have to spend X amount of time just even testing that theory." And Wesley's response is, "Well, why can't you just see it in your head?" And this was a really clever way, again, of kind of showing that this character is just a genius and he can see the way to do a lot more than just any normal person. Yeah, he's a prodigy. So then he's over there, just beep, beep, boop, boop, boop on the machine, and then he creates this stuff and pretty much saves the day, honestly.
Yeah, and that it does get explored much deeper. It's not just that he is super duper smart. There is an element of he is a prodigy and super duper smart. They explore that a lot more, and they clearly had that mapped out from the beginning. And yeah, him saying, "Why can't you just see it?" Like, it's so easy to him, and it's like that obnoxious thing of a really smart person trying to explain a math problem to you, and it's like, "Why don't you get this, you moron?" And I'm like, "Because I'm not as smart as you. I'm
not
sorry.
smart." Yeah.
So yeah, I this is one of the episodes I unapologetically come back to because there's a lot of fun in it. There is a lot of tension towards the end where they leave that sun fragment to the very last second, and there's a few layers of tension. There's Data, like, I love watching Data do fast things. That always hypnotized me when I was younger.
Yeah,
him tapping away really fast, him putting the chips into the thing, and then suddenly like he gets the hypo spray and then gets faster. Love that. And then overlay that tension with Wesley trying to figure out how to buy them a little bit more time as well. It's a great climax to the episode.
Yeah. Chat points out that Wesley's saving the day, not so much as he's fixing the problem that he created, and that's a really good point.
Yeah, he did this. I love when Riker's like, "Oh, the fragment will be here in 8 or 9 minutes. Is that enough time?" And Data's like, "Nope, it'll take slightly longer than we have.
Just a little bit more time.
So
We're
casual.
fucked. But I'm just gonna stay here doing this thing that I'm doing." I thought that it was clever that they have the sped up camera and the normal tempoed music so that it all seems like it's still going at like our pace. It's always fun to watch TNG for me, and I say this a lot, and I'm sorry if I'm repetitive. I just really enjoy watching how these shows were put together many moons ago. You know, like seeing their version of like the corridors on the other ship and the technology that they put out, or how that they put the tractor beam thing on screen. I kept thinking this is lasting a long time, and then I realized, oh, it's because this would look pretty fucking cool when it came out, you know?
Back in I thought the same thing, because I was like, we're not doing it the same way that we're doing it today. Like,
right.
When we're doing a CinemaSins video, we can pretty much tell them, "Hey, could you do this?" And they're like, "Yeah, no problem."
Yeah,
in the 80s, it's like, this is new stuff. This is really cool. So I can see why they held it. Yeah.
Yep. And then seeing the graphic of this, you know, red star thing that's going to explode. And so I really enjoy watching how they would portray the sci-fi-ness of it all. But I did find it sinful a lot because I still feel like there are things that would be done so differently logically, but it's logic based on my logic that I have in like 2023. So it's hard. Like, Like, for example, can I skip to a sin?
Well, should we just get into the sins? Like, I think I've said everything. Yeah.
Hold on. Let me try to think of it. And then, but before I do that, I should go back through my notes and see if there's anything else I enjoyed. I think we already mentioned it, but another one of my favorite parts was when the teetle fingers of Captain Picard, which is one of the memes I was mentioning. Like when he waves goodbye to Beverly and does like the little. There was like I think 5 different memes in this. So
That's
obviously
amazing.
This is an epic episode, and I really loved that.
Truly.
I loved seeing the origin of the teetle fingers.
Mm-hmm. There it is. Nice and surprising. Yep, I thought you'd like that. It's used in a lot of trailers as well.
The other one I'm not going to mention because I'm going to make that my quote.
Okay, sweet.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm really, really happy that you liked that episode. I was a little bit nervous when it started because I think the first 20 minutes is a little bit slow, bit slow to kick off. But when we get to all of the shit being ripped out of engineering and just everyone going haywire, it's really, really fun.
It is fun.
And you get an origin for a lot of character shit. Right, with that, there are plenty of fucking sins. Let's head over to engineering to take apart some isolinear chips. Battle stations, everyone.
Let's not do that. We're not supposed to do that.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV shows without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. You first, Ambassador.
Okay, so here's what I was talking about a minute ago when I was saying that there are some things that I just can't get past in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also don't think I can get past it within the TNG sphere.
Yep,
so,
good.
But then again, I'm thinking of TNG as it develops, not as it started off.
Fair.
If you put someone under quarantine, how do they just get to wander out of sickbay?
Oh, my biggest sin of the whole episode. Nobody's
Geordi,
quarantined.
There's no force field keeping him in place. There's nothing. You're just going to let someone wander around. Like maybe she wasn't as concerned about some things early on as she obviously was later on. But Crusher, there's literally lock the door. At least lock the door.
Right, because if you're in quarantine, not only should you not be able to get out of sickbay, you should be in your own little bubble office as well so that Beverly doesn't get infected. I think at the beginning of the episode, she's so convinced in her hubris that this isn't a disease, this isn't an infection, because the transporter will have got rid of it, that it doesn't matter. There's no way that Geordi can transmit this to someone else. But still, it's just in case.
Yeah, I agree because she was very casual. I kept thinking wow, she really isn't gearing up for any. There's a real confidence that this character has in the safety of her environment that I don't have.
No.
But she does. So, strongly.
And maybe it's a commentary on leaning too hard on technology, but it is, they should have just, as soon as it started to spread through the crew, start beaming them to sickbay. You know where they are. They have comm badges. You don't even need to search for them.
Everybody go to your room.
Quarantine them.
Just continuing on with the whole quarantining should be something that in
Put them
this
in the
time of
transporter
life, you should know how to quarantine. If we can do it, we quarantined.
You would think so.
If we can do it, they can do it in the future. But then at the same time, this is in the past because when it was made. So it's weird.
But also, Deneé, we don't get the episode. If the disease doesn't spread, we don't get the episode.
Freaking transporter.
Got the transporters
Use
in
your
on this
resources.
shit.
God.
On the transporter note, Picard says, set the transporter to maximum decontamination. Why isn't it always set at you know what? Minimum decontamination. Let's get some. And if maximum has a detrimental effect, never use it. It's we can't use that every time because it slowly dissolves your organs. Hyper transporter.
Yeah, it's kind of like how we're not supposed to go into the CAT scan machine too much.
Exactly. Not too many x-rays. You're going to build up a certain
allotment in your lifespan and really just try to stretch them out is best.
I have transporter cancer, which is something Barclay would definitely believe in, bless him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that made me laugh.
I think I want to send just Riker hearing that Data is super great at stuff and has been in some books and shit. And he's like, hey, I want you to do a search for times when people decided to take a shower with clothes on.
Yeah, vague as possible.
So vague. I'm sure that the hyper fan that came from TOS into TNG was like, oh, I know where this is going. I know what's happening. But for me, I was like, what the fuck are we talking about? And I guess it's that woman that was in the little shifty, the cold room.
In
was
the shower.
that where they were? I didn't know that was the shower. I thought it was like a lift or something.
No.
So to me, that reference was super out of left field. And then it also felt like it's just so random.
Just abusing Data.
Just putting random words together. Like, what a fun afternoon. I'm bored. I think I'm going to just give Data a new search field today.
Like, instead of putting him to work finding the cure or finding people, it's like, hey, Google, can you... No.
You actually activated Google, didn't you?
I didn't set off his Google.
Got to be careful in these times.
Don't say that. Hey, Data, can you do this for me? Like, using him as his Google device.
Like, another random one would be a time that somebody put a shoe in a book. Just weird... Two things that don't go that are still so vague that Data's just going to be doing this for a hot minute. And then, of course, it was very convenient that he said, "Oh yeah, it was history. I think I was looking up the Enterprise." So we got there. What about you?
What did I have? I think we would have done a massive when Wesley has his like voice recorder thing where Picard he can like pretend that Picard is giving him orders. We would just cut in a massive
Yeah, absolutely.
You fucking nerd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. I think I would send the moment where Data is just rapid fire putting chips in, because technically, yes, he's doing it faster, but couldn't we also help? I mean, we're all about to die.
Yeah.
So couldn't a couple humans just be like, okay, I can do this one, and just with a little bit of
Six
effort,
of them are just watching.
They're all just watching. They're just literally looking at the viewer, getting closer, looking over at Data, who's just whistling and just shoving them in there. And Wesley's trying to do something, but nobody thinks to themselves,
I can help.
Not even the chief engineer, who isn't infected at all.
Or evacuate the ship.
Something. Yeah. Why aren't we leaving?
Yeah. Get off the damn ship. But it's you.
I guess because people are drunk and they're not as interested in getting into the pods or something.
Well, my brain went, couldn't you organize the chips on the floor? So even if you can't get them in as quick as Data, start ordering them like A1, AB, A3, A4, however ordered they are. So then Data doesn't have to pick it up, think about where it goes and put it in. He's just like...
Yeah. And I did think about getting in the way. You're like slowing down. But if you just take one at a time.
One that he isn't reaching for. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. That's a great point. The episode opens with Captain's log. We are running at warp 7. You are not. And it's just like this ship is going so fucking slow. Like this happens a lot in the opening seasons where the stars aren't going by. They clearly aren't at warp. It's like, we are heading at maximum speed. You are not. You are at impulse.
Nerd. Yeah, now we would nerd you for that one. So that'd be kind of a fun one,
for that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know a lot about physics. I'm just gonna be honest.
Fair. Full disclosure.
I'm not a scientist. I'm not even really clever most of the time.
Yeah.
Kind of boring in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that the big clunk of rock, once it hit the ship, would change trajectory a little bit, I think. And if it didn't, I want information. I want a little bit more, because it just seemed like it just went directly through it, and maybe it's so big it just was going to go directly through it. I don't know.
Have you ever played pool? And I know you have, because we've played pool together.
Yeah, I've played pool.
And how tricky is it to kind of hit the cue ball and make a long pot?
Not that hard.
It's tricky. It's pretty difficult.
This is why I won it.
Anyway, the analogy that I'm getting at is, what are the odds of that chunk of sun being on a perfect collision course for the Enterprise?
So
I would have believed my luck. I was like, wait, but we're tiny compared to a sun. How is it going to hit us? Yeah, no, it's just on a course immediately for us. It just locked in and said, fuck that ship.
Yeah. That was all kinds of fucked up for many reasons. Do you have another one?
I do. How does Data catch it? There is no, it's got to be placebo. He's just got to be thinking that he's drunk, but then the hypo spray works on him. So is it all placebo? I don't know how the android got drunk. Just because he has fluids in him. I don't know.
My first instinct was that he wasn't actually drunk. He was just on a sex high.
That too, but I still have questions about that. He doesn't have emotions. Why is he getting horny?
I don't think he was horny. I think he was proud.
I didn't know. He kind of seemed horny when he saw Tasha in the dress. He kind of did a little gulp.
I think he was emulating, like he was mimicking.
Okay.
You know?
That's tricky.
But yes,
Yeah.
that's my interpretation of it.
That's fair. That's
But
fair.
as you said early on, they didn't actually have sex anyway, so it doesn't matter.
No, they did. I'm sorry. They did. They absolutely did.
I like the idea that the Enterprise has a shop. Tasha
Ship
mentions that
stores.
she's like, you know what? You don't really have what I'm looking for anyway, Troy. I've just come into your quarters, shopped your closet, and you don't really have what I'm looking for. So, but you know what? The ship's clothing store will. And I just thought that everything had a replicator. I thought that you could just basically tell it a pattern and it would just
whatever you want
it out.
Yeah. No, ship stores, they were still trying to figure out some of that, I think. They hadn't quite got rid of all of the capitalism out of it just yet. Worst assistant chief engineer ever. Before he's drunk, Wesley's like, it's all right, go to the bridge. I'll give you a call if anything goes wrong. A civilian 17-year-old. How are you leaving him in charge? How did that happen? How is that okay? No wonder we never see this guy again. He's fired.
Yeah, that was
Dick
bad.
move. That was bad.
Do we ever see him again?
No,
Do you know?
never see him
Okay,
again.
well,
He's
this is
gone.
why.
He gets
This
put
is
off the
why.
ship, 100%.
This is
Same
it.
with the chief engineer. Like, she is chief engineer. Like, she's the first one that we see, but I think there are like 3 more that follow her before we get to Geordie. It's amazing.
Really? That's so crazy.
Yeah, they just didn't decide on a chief engineer yet.
I mean, I guess that's true. And let this be a lesson to us all that sometimes you can just get started and figure it out as you go, and that's fine.
TNG is a great example of that.
I really, it's hard to want to send this scene for a couple of reasons, but I'm going to feel safe. I'm in a safe space, right?
You are. You're in a safe space. You can do this.
Thanks, podcast listeners. Thank you. I just, how would I go about sending Tasha talking about her trauma before attracting an android?
It is an interesting choice, isn't it?
I understand. And maybe she's just that bold of a woman who, before she has sex, she lets her sexual partner know that she has sex trauma and this is how she wants it. And I actually respect that. I fucking respect that. That's not so much of a sin for me. But it just, I don't know, it felt really...
I think
in a TNG episode, it almost felt like a joke more than the gravity that I feel like it actually is.
Context matters. So this, for me, it feels odd because, in and of itself, it's like you deal with your trauma how you want to deal with it. Maybe, you're open and honest about it. Maybe that is what you want. No, there is no right way to react. But in the context of this goofy TV show that's on not daytime TV, but it's in like the evenings, like it is very strange to go from drunk to rape gang to, hey, this mechanical dildo is going to do nice things to me. Like the context does make it feel strange.
And it felt like I'm going to use this data character as a sex partner because he's going to do what I want. Woo. And I'm going to, and part of me, this is where in my mind I was thinking, are we talking about just being drunk here, or are we talking about being like part of your mind is messed up? Because even in drunk thinking, I don't know, maybe just drunk people really
some drunk people do just do dumb things,
crazy shit like that. Yeah.
And it's all, you can tie it back into just being disinhibited and just open about everything. So it's a tricky one. I think in all honesty, we probably wouldn't sin it, or the way we would sin it was, this feels strange in my Star Trek episode or in my goofy Star Trek episode.
Yeah,
sure.
I kind of wanted to stop and take a minute and be like, okay, so Tasha Yar came from rape trauma, or she was able to escape
I think it's implied that she wasn't raped and escaped those gangs.
She learned to stay alive and avoid the rape gangs, and then was 15. So for 10 years, she apparently lived in this kind of like...
was a street rat.
Yeah, which is part of the reason why I guess she's security, because she can kick your fucking ass, which is great.
She
I
fucking
love that.
can.
But I want to give that more gravity.
Yeah,
I don't know.
100%.
I can't stop thinking about
and it does get more gravity later on.
But I just... to me, I think that they wrote that as a throwaway moment without realizing how kind of incredible it is. And I don't mean to make anybody uncomfortable, but if you've had sexual trauma, to be able to be that bold about what you need from somebody and figure it out, like that's really, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's not even
it's a
something that
lot.
I see in movies that are more serious or TV shows. You don't see that addressed. So for it to just be like randomly part of a conversation where Tasha's coming on to Data, I just did not see that. I didn't see that.
But
happening.
You're right. It is in a different context. It's empowering. It's a unique viewpoint that we haven't seen before. But yeah, in this moment, it feels icky.
It feels strange.
I agree. Yeah.
And it also feels really strange for Data too. Like,
Well, yeah, because the idea is that he's the sober friend. Yeah, he's the sober friend that's taking advantage of the drunk friend. Or he's following orders.
He's following order. I know. I know.
Which is also icky.
Everything
way,
in this episode has a bit of ick in that way. Like, which I guess is if Data is inebriated, then it kind of makes it better because he was under the influence too and wasn't taken advantage of. But and how heartbreaking was it? I would absolutely sin when Tasha's just like, that never happened, like a total bitch.
That hurts.
That was
That's
sad.
Dumb.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, that one stings a lot. Oof.
Anyway.
That's pretty much what else did I have? Oh, just how easy it was for Wesley to take over the ship.
Oh my God.
Like one force field, and he is in command of the ship now. It shouldn't happen. Why didn't they cut through one of the windows, one of the doors using a phaser? Like that force field doesn't encase. It's just that gap. Like there's got to be a way to dig into him. Beam him out. I don't know.
There was a comment earlier too about was Wesley's action, is that what led to there being passwords?
Yeah.
Because it's just voice activation at this point. There's no password. So maybe Wesley doing that required an entire change in Starfleet.
So I did think about that during the episode, but he doesn't. So he announces that he's in command of the ship, but all he does is disable it. And like he reroutes some commands. And I think all of the issues are coming from those chips being on the floor. It's not that he took control of anything. He just switched everything off. I think that's what he managed to do, which he shouldn't be able to do.
Such a butt.
That cabinet should have a password.
He's such a butt.
He's such a butt. Such a butt. I don't have much more. Well, I don't have anything
fine.
more.
That's
I think
all
that's
from
it.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, what an episode. It's deeper than it seems on the surface in a lot of ways. And I love that was where we jumped back into TNG after Picard. Man, I'm tempted to do episode 4, which is Code of Honor, but we will not be doing that one for many, many reasons. It is one of the most controversial episodes of Star Trek ever made, and we will not be tackling it just yet. So we're going to dip back into the episode thread on the Discord, on Twitter, by email, and we're going to pick out one that you guys have picked that you really want us to cover. So this is going to be submitted by the fans. So to see the episode that you want the ambassador to see, and yeah. That's what we're going to be doing next week.
Well, I feel like I should say on behalf of the live chat, thank you for not doing episode 4 because there was a very negative reaction to that one in the chat. Well, I shouldn't say negative. I should say that it's very controversial. It's confirmed in chat. And there are some people saying that they wouldn't even watch it if it was on the docket. So let's just not do it.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
Can we do a Worf episode? I want to see more Worf.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do a Worf episode.
Okay,
Done.
So your suggestions, if you have a favorite Worf episode, I would love to know about it because I'm really wanting to see more Worf these days. I love the Data episodes, but and I don't want to see his kid. I don't want to see kid episodes.
No one wants to see Alexander. Nobody wants that. Worf doesn't want to see his kid. Worf wants nothing to do with those episodes either. Don't worry.
Question in the chat is, can we pick Deep Space Nine Worf episodes? And I would say yes, but that's not up to me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Why the fuck not? He has some great episodes in DS9. And we did a little run on DS9 off the show.
I haven't seen much DS9, so I'm very interested in that space because I feel like there's going to be, just from a learning perspective, there's so much that happens in Deep Space Nine I don't know about, I don't understand. So I feel like there could be some interesting conversations in Deep Space Nine because we haven't poked over there. So
I love that idea. That's great.
Okay, cool.
We're just deciding this live. This is amazing. That's great. And Deep Space Nine is where we really get wide in the lore. Like, this is where we learn the politics of Star Trek, how the different species are interacting. We get so much Star Trek lore from Deep Space Nine. I love it. Cool. All right. Well, until then, thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for joining us live, if you did so, on YouTube Live and on Twitch. And we'll let you know what episode we're covering on Discord, on Twitter, out and about in the world. Until next time, I'm Ian, and I'm going to go and find out how many technical books I've been written up in. And
I'm going to say, if you prick me, do I not leak?
Live long and prosper. There once was a woman from Venus.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
I feel like if I smile, I'm going to have nothing but stuff in my teeth because I sprinkled a hard-boiled egg with a everything bagel topping.
Nice. I bet that's really yummy.
It's super yummy, but it's like all these tiny little bits and pieces of and so I'm just waiting to be like.
Well, fortunately, we don't do a live show. Oh wait,
for a little while.
Yes, we do.
Are you all right there?
Are you fucking all right? No, I'm still not over Shelby getting shot.
Who's Shelby?
Oh, Admiral Shelby, who was in command of the USS Enterprise F, and she got shot in the penultimate episode.
Oh, the gut shot?
Yeah, that's it. While she was in her chair. But Terry Natalis has said she's not dead. Like, just like he did with Elnor. Like, I'm like, so why are you putting this shit on screen? And then after the fact saying, yeah, no one died. It's fine.
That seems unlikely. It was 2 gut shots to the stomach. If she survived, Shaw should have survived.
Right? 1 to the chest, 1 to the stomach. I'm just like, man, she dead. She dead, fool. She dead. She all of the dead.
She's fucking dead. She's fucking dead.
I have got 3 ships on the way. Oh, update to last week's podcast, in case you're not in the Sinclub. I did get to the Master Replica website drop in time. I'm sure you're all super invested and care about that. And I got the 3 ships that I wanted to buy.
Yay. That's cool.
I did it.
You did it.
And one of them is the Strange New Worlds Enterprise, which is so pretty. It's so pretty. So pretty.
I don't have anything cool that I bought. I have been looking at those Starfleet boots that were on that custom the website that has really expensive shoes.
Yeah, the $400 ones.
They make really unique shoes.
Yeah.
And they had those Starfleet boots. I got an email from them this morning, and it was this very clever... they're doing a contest. Any shoe that is purchased for like a month, a little over a month, will put you into a drawing to win shoes from this company for a decade. So it's you have a chance to get more interesting shoes for the next 10 years. And they're very unique. They're like the kind of shoe you would see worn by a character in a movie because they're very bright. Or a TV show set in the future. Yeah, they're really very different style shoes. And I do love them. And I did look at them all going, is this my style? I'm more of I'm going to slide on my Birkenstocks today.
No Birkenstocks on the bridge.
These are shoes that when you wear them, people think, wow, that person has character.
That person is high class. Everyone's crazy about a sharp dressed man. I mean, ZZ Top said it. ZZ Top.
I do have a question about Wesley. He had a line that I was confused by, and I wanted to get your opinion on it because he says it pretty early on, and I wrote it down. So hold on while I find it. This is the fun part of seeing the live show. Okay, I'm gonna got it. Oh, here's another note while I'm just going through my notes. The quote from LaForge's, I've never seen a rainbow. And I just went, a reading rainbow.
It's got to be deliberate, hasn't it?
It has to be.
It has to be deliberate. Reading Rainbow.
I can do anything. Take a look. It's in a book. A reading rainbow.
That's amazing.
A reading rainbow. Oh, I loved that show. Sarah says, let's talk about fashion, y'all. Tasha's outfit. Discuss.
Oh.
Listen, Tasha's outfit distracted me. I usually look at Tasha's face. This time I found myself wondering how high up she decides to shave her pubic hair. And that's just how the design of that torso part
right to the
was
V.
fucking awesome. And then she turns around and she's like, let me show you my goddamn beautiful back, bitch. And she took Data and she fucked him and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
I want that outfit.
It's a good outfit.
My body would look very different in that outfit. Take my goddess mom shape and just shove it in Tasha's outfit and just be like, you know what? It's a little different. This outfit needs to be cosplayed when we go to the convention.
Yes, by me.
By someone. Yeah,
Yes.
you would do great at it.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I got the back for it.
I like it. What's that one called? That's one piece, the onesie?
The scant.
The scant.
I want to wear the scant to a convention. Or Riker's open chest thing in Angel 1. Remember the one that the queen of the planet dresses him up in?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I went immediately, when you said open chest, it was Picard in his riding out whenever he went on vacation when he was on the ship that day. Yeah, that was a fucking cool episode.
No, sorry. You mean Starship Mine where he has to Home Alone the ship. Yes. Yeah.
And he's got that open shirt. And I was like, damn, I'm attracted to that man.
Hey,
My
just.
God.
Yeah.
I kind of love that the chat is all for the scant, and I feel like we're going to have to all have some sort of CinemaSins Star Trek convention where it's just scants only.
This is the uniform of this enterprise. We found it. It's bringing the scan back.
It's the Scanterprise.
I'm bringing Scanty back.
My little leggies don't know how to act.
Sometimes you read through the chat really, really quickly, and Slam just said, good time for me to go put clothes in the dryer. I read that as good time to put clothes in the air fryer.
Yes. A very nutritious snack in the afternoon.
Come on.
Just crisped up clothing bits.
Under things, yeah.
Link says, question, how do you guys feel about Picard season 3 a week after it's been over?
Great question. I want you to go first on this one.
I miss Worf.
Yes. I miss the Enterprise D.
I feel like they hit a stride that I wanted them to keep going with. Like, I don't know if they would have been able to sustain a TNG season where they're all doing things together, but I felt like it was revving up for something really magical that we missed out on because we did so much with other characters, which made sense in the universe. They had to get on an existing ship. They had to have an existing crew. They had to have some reason for all of these people to reunite from all these different corners of their world. And they took most of the season to do that. And then we get to the point where I'm like, fuck yeah. We're done. And so I am sad. I'm sad because I'm never going to see that again. And it bums me the fuck out. And I don't know if you guys could tell, but last week I was almost crying during the show because seeing those characters is really emotional and awesome. And I won't get to do it again. And I feel like we were so close to having more. And I don't know how we could have gotten that. I'm sure it was budgetary restrictions. Like, it's got to be so expensive to pay all these actors to get their butts in the seats. So
I'm sure it is. I'm sure that's what it was.
But yeah, I miss Worf. I want to see more of the characters that I really love.
For me, it's so tricky. There are some moments that I love. As a whole season, it still didn't hold together for me. The first 4 to 5 episodes, I think, are outstanding. Not as a TNG show, but as a Star Trek mini-series where you have the trike in the wormhole, all of that start to finish. If we're going to wrap that up in 5, great. It falls off for me. The more I think about it, the more the changelings make less and less sense and were just a red herring to hide the Borg. And we get some incredible jaw-dropping stuff in the finale with the D and with everybody on the bridge. I just wish we could have had 6 episodes of them. I don't care how contrived it would have been. 6 episodes of them on the Enterprise having a bit more of a swan song. And I know it's hard, but I feel like the thing we wanted, we still didn't get. So I think Picard will always be a little bit disappointing.
At the end of the day, you have these incredibly passionate storytellers that created something that they're really proud of and that they're excited to give to us. And I'm excited to try it out. It felt like returning to a very familiar place, like from my childhood. So maybe like a restaurant that you love from your youth, or a place you used to visit with your family, and it's changed, but it still has those beautiful notes. So if it is a restaurant, as an example, there's a dish that you used to get, and when you have it in front of you, you're like, oh, this is made different now. This isn't how I remembered it being.
The recipe is slightly changed with time.
Yeah, and that's all right.
Owners. It happens. It's a good metaphor for it.
Sarah says, I asked Terry Metalis where Lawrence is on Twitter, but he ignored me. God
Keep
damn
asking.
it.
Mobilize.
God
Captain's
damn it.
Pod
Terry,
listeners.
come on.
Captain's Pod listeners that are on Twitter, mobilize.
Cameron says, when I think about how much they could have gotten wrong and how many moments felt amazing and memorable, I can't say there's even a little disappointment. Just some notes maybe, but I think it was amazing. That's good. And I think that's a good point too, is that there was a lot of fun stuff in there.
No, I agree. There really was.
Lloydie says the Shaw that died was a changeling. Human Shaw will be found tied up in a locker ready for his own series. Fuck yeah, Lloydie. Yes. Yes.
Let's go.
Yes. Let's fucking go.
I hope so. Genuinely.
I fucking hope so. This is the only hope I have. God damn it. That was so good. Sarah says, also between Data, Spock, Trip, Elnor, Shaw, and Hemmer, I decided I'm not going to love anyone anymore. I can't take the pain.
Oh, Sarah. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Weta says, Beverly and Picard are that one couple who everyone thinks could be great together, but they are terrible for each other and blow up over and over and finally just know it's better to be friends. God damn it, Weta, you're right. This is so true about relationships. I feel this in my soul. I love this comment because we do try to put characters together, and we also try to do this in real life too. And you just doesn't work. It doesn't work all the time.
Yeah.
Let them be friends. They can love each other and have affection for each other and be friends. Cameron says chief engineer took a while because Roddenberry didn't want ship problems to be a major driver. Everything was basically automated, so they didn't have chief engineer as a featured role.
That's really cool.
So I've read.
That makes a lot of sense because a lot of the TOS episodes was, Scotty, we need engines. Captain, I can't do it. That was a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of TOS was that.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I think if you read this and remember it, it makes so much sense.
It really does.
I love all the fucking I love the fucking nerds in the chat. I fucking love them.
Fucking love you, nerds.
From Link. Question, do you think we're going to get any Star Trek that takes place in the 25th century?
I think it's inevitable. So this would be immediately after Picard. I mean, you saw an article yesterday that said the fan petition for Star Trek, quote unquote, Legacy has outweighed the fan petition for Star Trek Pike, which turned into Strange New Worlds. Now, correlation doesn't equal causation. Like, they may have already had Strange New Worlds planned when they introduced Anson Mount in season 2 of Discovery. That may have already been in the works, and it had nothing to do with the fan petition. But Terry and everyone has said the best way to do it is to watch more Picard. And if Star Trek continues on TV, eventually we will be in the 2400s. Eventually that will happen. It's just what form it takes. But yes, eventually in the next 10 years, I think we will.
And there you go. Here's an amazing comment from Sarah earlier. It says, I know that you ain't supposed to stick Q-tips in your ears, but it makes a funny sound and I like it. You know what?
Q-tips
you
are terrible.
do you, Sarah. Just be careful, right?
We should not
just be careful.
We should not make Q-tips anymore. We shouldn't.
I don't agree.
Okay.
I think we should just be careful with the Q-tips that we have.
Fair.
Earlier in the show, we were talking about the mission of our show was to go through Picard, which we did, and then we started Strange New Worlds, and we've gone into TNG, and Weta wants to remind us that until I have watched every single episode, that I being Deneé, until Deneé has seen every single episode, the mission is not accomplished.
Seems fair. Seems fair. And considering they're making more content than we can do podcasts on, fuck. Because we aren't even doing Prodigy. Yeah. There's a lot.
A really important question from earlier from Link. Ian, which drunk are you? And now the options, I believe, were a variety. There's the sad drunk. There's the highly intellectual drunk. There's the child play drunk.
The depressed drunk.
That sad one, yeah.
The drunks that just fuck each other whenever they're drunk.
Fuck drunk, yep.
So this inspired some stuff in the chat. Sarah said Ian wants to get a PhD or hates everyone. That would be, given the evidence, solid prediction. Ian Slab says Ian seems to be a hugger when he's drunk. Makes sense. I have hugged many people whilst drunk. I am the drunk that everybody says they are, but rarely actually is. But I actually am this drunk. I am the herder. I am the Overwatch. I am the daddy drunk. I'm the Riker. I'm the one that has somehow weirdly got a high tolerance and just keeps the shit together and keeps the boat going, gets everyone home safe, checks in on everyone, kind of checks people that are being a bit too much. Unfortunately, I have the least fun, but it's also the most fun for me, being the control freak. Hello. Okay, good. We're off to a strong start.